Well, right now we are continuing the broader conversation about sustainability in agriculture. It's something that has become a very hot topic once again here in recent months and over the last year plus as farmers, and we're seeing more talk about different sustainable practices for climate smart agriculture, for instance, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to talk more and get some perspective on where the sustainability conversation is currently and where it is heading. And we're going to get that perspective from the team at Growers Edge joining us here today. First up here, joining us on the program, he is the Chief Commercial Officer for Growers Edge. Todd Robrand is with us here today. Todd, good to talk with you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jesse. Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and dive into the sustainable and regenerative world that farmers are facing today.
Absolutely. And also joining us from your team, she is Director of Sustainable Business Development at Growers Edge. Elena Bell is with us. Elena, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Jesse. I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's just start, and maybe I'll get perspective from both of you. Todd, if you want to kick us off, just as I kind of highlighted, this sustainability conversation has really ramped up in the last few years in agriculture. A lot of our traditional row crop farmers, for instance, are looking at facing, they have to add certain practices to qualify for various things, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot going on here. What is your perspective of, say, the current state of sustainability in agriculture right now, Todd?
Yeah, Jesse, a great question. There is a lot going on. Farmers have a lot of things to kind of digest and decisions to make on their own farm. Maybe made even a little more complex right now as commodity prices soften a little bit. As growers look at managing some other aspects of their operation. So all this is requires a grower to take a holistic approach to their operation and determine how they can incorporate in some of the sustainable practices that will benefit their operation the most in terms of productivity, in terms of maybe some of the premiums they can capture as we think about new requirements for ethanol and sustainable aviation fuels. All of that plays into decisions that a farmer has to make. It's complex, and behind it all are a number of organizations that are looking to help growers make this transition and help maybe de-risk some of the things that are happening. So a lot for a grower to dig into for sure.
Elena, your perspective, maybe anything you would add to what Todd had to say or some thoughts you have in terms of just the general state of sustainability in agriculture right now?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I'm new to Growers Edge. This is my second month, but I think some trends that I've been seeing is there's increasing attention to the financial barriers to implementing sustainable agriculture. You have to pay growers appropriately, share in the risk. And so I think as we see that taking up more space, I think Growers Edge is filling a really interesting niche. And Todd and I have talked about this, but human behavior is more strongly driven by motivation to avoid losses. And so I think sharing in that risk is really, really key. So I think as all the sustainability conversation is gaining momentum, I think Growers Edge is a great group to fill those gaps.
And I definitely want to talk more about some of the things you guys are doing at Growers Edge to help farmers navigate this. I wonder too, I think for some in agriculture, they say, well, we're the original stewards of the land, and maybe the way that sustainability is being, thrown around right now, some might say it's getting to be a little bit of a dirty word, so to speak, in some cases. I think to your point, Elena, finding ways to incentivize some of these practices for farmers. How do they get paid for certain things? How do they qualify for, as Todd mentioned, sustainable aviation fuel, et cetera? There's some farmers who say, well, certain practices in our area disqualify us. I mean, we can't do some of these certain things in this climate over another. What do you guys think about that perspective here as farmers kind of navigate this, try to figure out how it could be incentivized for them, but also, how they could do certain things over others in different parts of the country? Todd, do you have any thoughts there?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, Jesse, is that the farmer needs to have that conversation with their trusted advisor, or more likely their trusted advisors. Because you're right, not every practice can be implemented in the same way, whether you're in Minnesota or Missouri. It is going to give you a widely varying approach to how you adopt sustainable production practices. And so I think it's important that the grower works with their trusted advisors to make a decision on how they implement and what supporting practices must go into how the farmer adopts any one sustainable initiative. I'll use the example of reducing nutrient use. That's a relatively simple practice that most farmers can adopt, and they can wrap some other practices around it that help de-risk the potential that a grower may suffer yield loss. You can use nitrification inhibitors, follow the 4R principles, all of those kind of things. But it takes that trusted advisor to kind of pull it all together for the farmer and say, hey, here's how you achieve the goals that you want to and meet the sustainable requirements you're pursuing.
Elena, from your perspective, let's talk a little bit about how Growers Edge is maybe helping farmers navigate some of this as you've taken on this role with sustainable business development. I mean, highlight some of the things that you are working on and your team there at Growers Edge is working on to help farmers with this overall conversation right now.
Yeah. So Growers Edge, we offer many different products. The most popular right now is our crop plan warranty. And so that program, it de-risks any type of agronomic activity that whoever we're partnering with wants to see. And so for sustainability, we're working with many different partners, like Todd said, across nutrient management, cover crop, no-till, precision till, et cetera. And so we're helping make it sort of accessible for farmers. And so the way the crop warranty works is if a farmer implements a certain practice and their yield is different than the year before, then they can get that payment at the end of the year that can make up that difference. And so I think just having that assurance and knowing that no matter what you do, that you'll make that same amount is really, really key. And so as we've seen with several partnerships that we're working on, it's pretty effective. And I think just offering that peace of mind is sort of the main selling point that a lot of these partnerships are offering to farmers.
Yeah, Elena, to piggyback off that a little bit, that thought of the risk that is out there, I think that maybe, to your point, stops a lot of farmers from adopting some of these practices because they don't want the added risk that is maybe perceived out there in some cases. Am I looking at that right?
Exactly. And a lot of these practices, it is mostly a perception thing. And so it's a lot of these practices, with nitrogen management, for instance, your bottom line, even if you use less, 5 to 10% less, it can actually improve. And so it's basically that perception that's the most important piece. And hopefully once farmers see after a couple of years of implementing whatever practice, they're less hit by extreme weather events, and it actually improves yields over the long term. But to get over that initial hump of adoption, it's really important to have that risk piece addressed.
Todd, as we kind of think about this too, it's all part of the evolution, I would say, of agriculture, right? I mean, it's something to where it feels like this is a conversation that's not going to go away, but more so it's figuring out the best avenues forward so more farmers adopt these practices and we can continue to evolve and take a step forward, right?
Yeah, you're 100% right, Jesse. And we look at it as a team approach. So Growers Edge offers the warranty, as Elena mentioned, but we can't do that without that trusted advisor being on board and the farmer being there ready to adopt whatever it is that fits for their operation. So it really does take a team approach. And using that trusted advisor, that ag retailer in many cases, perhaps a certified crop advisor that farmer's working with, using the expertise that individual has that he can apply directly to that farmer's operation, and obviously the farmer providing input as well. That teamwork allows us to then be able to put a warranty behind that recommendation. And not only is the warranty there to help the grower, it's there to help lay out a set of practices that must be followed in order for the warranty to be in effect, but really lay out a set of practices that should be followed to ensure that the grower can successfully transition to whatever it is that they're looking to adopt on their farm.
And you said something there that I think is interesting that we should maybe highlight as well. And I think this is maybe missing a little bit in the broader conversation, particularly at, say, the government level. But I think, folks like you guys at Growers Edge are doing a great job here getting that farmer input. But I think there's some of that farmer input that's maybe still missing as some of these practices and tax incentives, et cetera, all these things are developed. Would you guys agree with that, Todd, Elena, whoever wants to take that one? But I feel like some of that farmer input is maybe that missing link in this whole conversation right now.
I think it is, Jesse. It's missing because it's hard. It's really hard because, as I mentioned earlier, a grower in Minnesota adopting cover crops looks a lot different than a grower in Missouri adopting cover crops. And as you know, the government, the USDA, even some of the NGOs and the CPG companies that are wanting to promote these practices, they don't have that level of detail and understanding. So I think by default, a lot of times the farmer does get excluded from how those conversations happen. Growers Edge, we want to work to help take the practices that can work in a given geography with the expertise of the trusted advisor, and then go back and say, hey, the USDA, here's how this can actually work in this geography. Here's how farmers will successfully adopt it, ensuring that they're sustainable, not even in terms of improving soil health and for the long-term viability of the farm, but are they economically sustainable? That all wraps together to make it an offer that a farmer then can begin to confidently deploy on their operation.
Great thoughts. This has been a fun conversation. As we kind of wrap up, I'll get some final thoughts from both of you. And as well, Elena, you mentioned some of the different programs that you guys are doing. If you have some final thoughts for us, and then where folks can get more information with what Growers Edge is doing, can you share that for us?
Sure thing. And I think I'll just echo what Todd said about sustainability, not just relating to the practices that you're implementing today, tomorrow. It's really about the longevity of the farm. And so I think when we talk about sustainability, economic sustainability is also, just as important, and so, or even more important. So I just want to highlight that. And then, we have several partnerships right now with CPG, with retailers, and with NGOs. And so we're always excited to work with others. And Todd, I think if you want to add anything else and share some ways that people could reach us.
Yeah, absolutely. Elena kind of hit on a couple of the key partners that we have. Encourage farmers to go to our website. They will see who those partners are. Growers Edge, we work with our partners, some of the largest ag retailers in the U.S. We've worked with the USDA and working with them to help implement and successfully drive change as part of the Climate Smart grant that was included with the USDA. So that'd be another avenue. But as farmers go look at our website, they can see who some of those partners are. Reach out to them, large ag retailers, other NGOs, and through that, understand how does a warranty work with those organizations, because each one is unique, and see if that's right for their farming operation.
GrowersEdge.com is that website for more information. GrowersEdge.com. This has been a fun conversation today. I appreciate the time from both of you, Todd Robrand, Elena Bell with Growers Edge. Thank you both for being with us here today, and we'll look forward to talking more in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Bye.